What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including WWE spoils Brock Lesnar's return and his plans, a lot more cuts coming to the WWE roster, Braun Strowman's big mistake, potential new members to the Hurt Business, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now let's hit the intro and get straight into the first story. Now, first story looks at WWE spoiling Brock Lesnar's return. Now, Brock Lesnar is back in the WWE, or at least listed as an active competitor for Raw at WWE.com. The WWE added the Beast Incarnate to the Raw roster, all but confirming the speculation that they intend to bring Lesnar back to the ring soon. The Mat podcast Andrew Zarian, who's been on a roll lately breaking stories, is reporting Lesnar was early on for SummerSlam plans. They were trying to do something. I think the concept behind Lesnar is to justify what we're going to pay him, and we need a more consistent touring schedule so we can build to this, and those appearances by Lesnar will help sell tickets, obviously. With Lesnar listed on Raw, the next question is whom he'll face. Will Lesnar seek a rematch with Drew McIntyre, the man who defeated him at WrestleMania 36 for the WWE Championship, or perhaps go after Bobby Lashley? The WWE could go with a triple threat match as well, but at this point, it's kinda hard to say. What we can say is that the WWE is obviously preparing to load up its content as the company prepares for the return of fans, including house shows. Next up, plans for Brock Lesnar leaked. Although Brock Lesnar is listed on the Raw roster, which makes sense given that's where he last wrestled, fans shouldn't rule out Brock Lesnar challenging Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. In fact, that could be what the WWE is planning to do, at least according to Dave Meltzer in this week's Wrestling Observer. The obvious angle right now for a Lesnar return is a storyline involving Heyman and thus Reigns. Lashley very much wants the Lesnar match and has been saying it since he came in. The go-to storyline would be who Paul Heyman would side with, his former meal ticket Brock Lesnar or current one Roman Reigns. This could add some intrigue to a match that, while big, fans have seen many times before. Given Lesnar's known shortcomings on the microphone, it makes sense to have him work with Heyman and have Reigns cut his own promos, an area he's improved in tremendously. If Heyman leaves the tribal chief, would that necessitate a babyface turn for Reigns, and would the fans be as interested in the match? It's a difficult question, and while Lesnar vs Reigns may seem like a big match on paper, the aforementioned elements could make it problematic. In fact, the WWE should consider Lesnar vs Lashley, even though Meltzer suggests that's not the immediate plan. Anyway, this is the status of Lashley vs Lesnar. If they're paid Lesnar enough, they could get it done. It's not been approached to him for that date right now. Fans will have to wait and see what's next, but you can be sure Lesnar is back and being prepared for a major match at SummerSlam. Next up, WWE's unusual way of informing the locker room about releases. There's interesting news concerning the WWE's latest round of cuts, as a number of sources are reporting that the WWE texts the news to the locker room, unlike past instances where wrestlers were informed via memorandum. The WWE's head of talent relations, John Laurinaitis, texted wrestlers about the departures. PW Insider obtained a copy of the text which read, "Due to budget cuts, the following talent were released today: Braun Strowman, Lana, Buddy Murphy, Santana Garrett, Ruby Riott, and Aleister Black." Signing off by John Laurinaitis. The WWE locker room has been on pins and needles after his latest round of releases, particularly since one of them involved main eventer Braun Strowman. As we'll see, there may be many more releases ahead. Braun Strowman and company may not be the last of the WWE's recent releases, as the company may have a new policy regarding AEW, which no longer necessitates the company keeping a large roster merely to keep the talent from its national rival. According to the Mat podcast Andrew Zarian, I was told specifically that there are going to be more releases to come. This is going to be a regular thing. You're going to see these releases happen. They're reshuffling the deck with talent. They're realizing that the company got very bloated with talent over the last 2-3 years, where the WWE doesn't release anybody. They hang on to people. They threw ridiculous money to guys like Gallows and Anderson. The latest Wrestling Observer newsletter included comments from Dave Meltzer about the WWE's change in policy towards AEW and stockpiling talent. The reality is that the company had signed up far more talent than it needed until last year to try and keep people from AEW. The mindset is clearly different right now in that regard. There are two key realities. The first is that the mathematical trajectory that AEW would be beating WWE ratings in 1849 by the end of this year is no longer the case. The second is no matter what is done, WWE can't put AEW out of business either. and Nick Khan's role in the WWE has seen some incredible changes to the way the company operates and in terms of business. It appears Khan has been extremely successful, whether it's maximizing profits via trimming the budget or landing big money deals such as licensing the WWE Network to the Peacock streaming service. But while it remains to be seen whether the endgame is a WWE sale, it's become crystal clear that just about no one is safe in terms of cuts. Whether or not the cuts are being made to make the WWE more attractive for a sale, something we covered in last night's video, or to maximize profits remains unclear. However, at what point will the WWE have made too many cuts to its roster? Next up, Braun's big blunder. Speaking of the WWE's cuts, it looks like Braun Strowman's faith in the WWE cost him a lot of money. Commenting on the cuts, Dave Meltzer noted that Strowman's salary worked against him and that one person noted he made a huge mistake in negotiations because when he signed his new deal, he was considered a hot commodity, and if he pushed for it, probably could have gotten a no-cut contract that a few of the bigger names have. But he didn't push for it, and he probably never imagined they'd decide to cut him after signing him to such a strong long-term deal. Fans will likely recall Strowman's incessant praise for the WWE as well as his comments that he would never want to work anywhere else. But do you think Strowman overestimated his value? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, MVP teases new members to the Hurt Business. Now fans are questioning this after the former United States champion posted a picture of himself and the Street Profits on Instagram with the following message: "Good afternoon, gentlemen. Could the Street Profits join the Hurt Business? Well, while the tag team are currently working on SmackDown, there's no reason the WWE couldn't trade them to Raw or just ignore the brand split and bring them in. Certainly wouldn't be the first time the company has ignored logic to advance a storyline. The Street Profits would make a great addition to the Hurt Business, and it might give them a shot in the arm after a fairly uneventful run on SmackDown that saw them lose some of their momentum they had on Raw. As heels, the Street Profits could have a sensational series with the New Day, and the Street Profits bring more star power to the Hurt Business than Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin did. Although, let's be fair, WWE didn't give the team any time to grow. There's also the possibility that MVP could manage the Street Profits on SmackDown while managing Bobby Lashley on Raw. What do you guys think of this possibility? Let us know in the comments down below. And finally, Nia Jax's fond farewell to Lana. And last but not least, Lana's WWE release led to the WWE's ravishing Russian tweeting a touching tribute to our fans as she prepared for the next step in her career, with the WWE superstar who's been closely associated with Lana replying. Nia Jax, who put Lana through a table week after week, replied to Lana saying, "Put me through my first table." Lana's quest for revenge for Jax's repeated attacks and Lana's refusal to quit had some fans thinking WWE was trying to get her over, while others saw it as a way of burying her, punishing her for her husband Rusev's criticism of the WWE. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.